Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our last episode of the year 2025. This is A New Thing with Cyndi, and I am so excited to be able to just come on here and wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wow. I feel like this year has gone by quicker than any year. I literally feel like January was just last month. And I cannot believe that next episode will be January 2026. Well, we've had an incredible year. We launched season 6 just a few months ago. And so in prepping in how do we wrap up this year, who do we have as a guest, I just thought, we've had some pretty amazing episodes and guests during this season 6, which our season starts in October. So we've had some pretty amazing guests these last few months. And so with everything going on, I'm like, let's just give them some really good doses of wisdom and insight that they can take with them into 2026. And we've already started. In fact, for those of you that might already know or might have already started following us, ladies, we have kicked off an incredible series, or a challenge actually, called 26 to 26. It started on December 26th and it goes through January 26th. It's 32 days. Every day I'm on Instagram Live, my own personal Instagram. And I bring on a guest, an expert, author, leader, pastor, preacher, entrepreneur, that they have so many nuggets of wisdom to share. And I've been so blessed to been able to receive from all of these incredible women that, hello, let's help give this to the community of women that I pastor and lead, which is a singles ministry. It's a group of single women, but we're doing it on my Instagram, which is Cyndi616, so that anybody that follows me on that Instagram, I'm going to see if I can pull that up right now, so that anybody that follows up on that Instagram, then you can just go ahead and you can also just catch wind of, let's see if we can get that on here. There we go. This way, you can catch wind of what's going on, and you can hear and be encouraged, be excited, be inspired, and be blessed. So if that's you and you follow me on Cyndi616, then come on over. And if you don't, then no worries. Just like follow and then unfollow when it's over. But really, we've already launched it. It's been an incredible time. So far, we've heard from Rachel Caban. We've heard from Yvette Osborne. We've heard from Draven Parks. And the list continues. And so we have another many, many days of incredible women. You will see a little bit of a promo for it. If you can stick around to the very end, then go ahead and do that. But I'm going to try to transition now into some of the clips. Some of them are longer than others. And I felt like one of the ones that we really just needed to glean from was actually from this past week. And that was with coach and author Katrina Yniguez. And she had so many things to say. I don't know if you caught it, but if you didn't, then you're going to go ahead and see some of what she talked about: health, fitness, habits, just some really practical things, introspecting questions that she asks herself so that she can really propel herself into whatever it is that she needs to be elevated up into. And so we want to do that for you as well. So I want to say thank you so much for being a part of our A New Thing family. Thank you so much for joining with us so far. For those of you that have been with us from the start, this is not an end to the show, but definitely this is the last episode of the year. So I just want to say thank you guys for jumping on and being a part of the family. And now I give to you about 50 minutes of different clips of different guests that we've had on A New Thing with Cyndi. So here we go. Give me 1 minute to get this right.
Yeah, so God designed our bodies so beautifully to work so perfectly. The problem is we break them down. And yes, there is a component of aging, right? Like we're going to break our bodies down over time, because our home is not here on earth. Our home is in heaven. Like, we are here operating in a physical body, right? So if our focus is on eternal life, our bodies will break down. However, how are we showing up in this physical body? Are we just going through life, or are we going to start activating? So activating is, God designed all these different pathways in our bodies, some antioxidant pathways. Glutathione is a type of antioxidant. We could talk about that a little bit. Your hormones, like, our body produces these things that we can activate through foods, through exercise, through activators, through nutrition, things like that. But, there's also supplementation. So activation is, we take something to get our bodies to make something. Okay. Supplementation is, we're taking something that our body is deficient in. We're trying to replace something that our body doesn't have enough of. And so when we can choose to activate, we're getting our body to function the way that God originally intended and designed it to function as, right? And so there's lots of different ways that I help my clients figure out how to activate different pathways, different proteins and molecules and, hormones and things like that in their body, versus just, oh, there's another supplement out there. Let me just hope that my body can absorb that supplement and that it's going to actually make a difference, right? And unfortunately, with the impact of our gut health being so poor as a whole in today's society, if we're supplementing only, we're probably not getting most of what we're actually putting into our body. And so then, to me, it just becomes expensive pee, sorry to say, but
Yeah.
So I'd rather get my body function the way that God designed it to function. And when we can have a heart of gratitude, automatically things in our atmosphere begin to shift, right? Like, there is so much shift that happens in our atmosphere, not only for us, but for those around us, because we have the ability to shift an atmosphere when we walk into a room, right? Like, we can have this down, I complain, oh, I have to do this, or I have to do that, or we can walk into the room with, I get to do this, right? And people feel that joy. They feel the presence of, that energy that we have when we walk into that space. There was a quote I read I read a story about somebody seeing a quote that said, be careful of the energy you bring into this room, because it impacts others. And I can't remember exactly where it was from or the whole details, but it was along that same line of, choose how you're showing up and walking into a space, because you affect the atmosphere. Right? So much power in that. Like, so now that makes me go, okay, am I stewarding the place, the atmosphere around me well? Like, well beyond, am I stewarding my spiritual health? Am I stewarding my physical health? Right? Am I stewarding the atmosphere that I'm walking into? And so just self-reflection questions. And if I'm going no, then I have the choice to choose it or to change it, right? Or I can just sit in this negative attitude that maybe I have because I don't want to be somewhere, or I don't want to do something. Well, guess what? Other people feel that, right? So shift that. Well, I think a big aha moment came to me when he gave me a course. I call it my 6-step framework. It's GPS Mastery. I didn't set out to write a course or anything like that. I just felt like God was asking me to do more. And I was already starting to feel really guilty because I'm changing what I'm saying now. I was a workaholic by nature, right? Like, it was very easy for me to go, go, go. And oftentimes what got neglected was relationships, whether that was relationships with my family, relationships with my friends, relationships with clients, of going above and beyond, things like that, because I was so focused on work, work, work. Well, if all of these pillars are intertwined together and I only focus on this pillar and I'm seeing these shifts of things starting to deteriorate, I had this realization that, oh, wait, there needs to be some sort of balance in that. And in that step where I was like, okay, Lord, you have to give me a system. And he gave me a 6-step system of, goal setting, brainstorming with him, like not just by myself of what I want to accomplish, projects, etc., but then prioritizing with him as well, but then looking for things to do in each one of those pillars. What are the goals and projects, Lord, that you want me to do in my spiritual health? What are the goals and projects that you want me to do in my relational health?
Yeah.
And he just gave me this beautiful framework that transformed my life and ultimately ended up turning into a course, not because that's what I set out to do, but because other people wanted me to teach them what God had shown me. Right. And so I think that was probably 2021, 2022, where I just had this big aha moment of like, oh, each one of these are affected, so closely linked together, and one impacts the other. And so we have to try to level up even 1% at a time in all areas, right? At least 1% in all areas that we're working on. Weight training is such a key component. I've had people tell me, oh, I don't need to do weight training, because they think that weight training, there's this misconception that if I am doing weight training, I'm going to bulk up. Okay. Do you know how hard it is to bulk up and get really, like, you look at these bodybuilders and they are on a strict diet. They're on a strict program. Most of them are working out 2 times to 3 times a day. Right. So, if we're just the general person going to the gym lifting weights, and we're not focused on a specific style of training, also, they have a specific amount of reps and sets that they do that the general public probably would never even do. So we're not going to get this big, bulky bodybuilder thing, physical body, right? Like, it's going to take work to get there. And, so we shouldn't have to be afraid of it, but building muscle is so important for our metabolic health. Not only is it about building muscle, it's going to strengthen our bones. It's going to boost our metabolism for fat burning, something that probably all of us are wanting to some degree, right? It's going to help regulate blood sugar and blood pressure. It's going to help enhance your mental well-being. So we talk about people having struggles with mental and emotional health right now. Exercise is a great component to boosting our emotional health, right? It's going to protect your joints. It's going to help people keep from falling as they get older, because they're going to have better balance. It's going to lower risk of chronic disease. I mean, I can go on and on and on about all of the benefits of just strength training, of weight training, out of everything else. Like, if we just focus on weight training, there's even more to it. But, most importantly, something that I teach people is it's all about quality of life. What is the quality of life that you want to live? Because it's not about appearances. Though we want the appearances, we want to look and feel good in our clothes and on our skin. We want to have that, and that's great. But that's not why God is asking us to go to take care of the temple that the Holy Spirit resides in, right? He's not asking us to go have this perfect looking model worthy body so that the Holy Spirit could be like, oh, you're worthy for me to dwell in. No, he's saying, I want you to take good care of your physical health so that you can show up and be my hands and feet. So you can serve others well. So you can have the longevity to be there for your kids, your grandkids, so you can be active and mobile as you continue to age, right? Like, there's so much more than just a physical, I want to look better in my clothes. And don't get me wrong, I'm at a point right now where I'm back to a weight that I was almost at pre-pregnancy, and I'm fitting into clothes that I was fitting into pre-pregnancy. So it feels good. It's definitely a boost of confidence. Don't get me wrong, but that is not why I go to the gym. I go to the gym so that I can show up as the best version of myself, so that I can continue to serve the people that God has placed in my life. I ask myself these questions, and it's part of my, I was going to save it to the end, but I ask myself, does this help move me closer or further away from my goal?
It's good.
And the second question I ask myself when I'm making choices, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, nutritionally, whatever, does this move me, closer or further away from my goals? Question 1 I ask. The second question is, does this make me feel good, or does it make me feel bad? Right. And if I don't have a problem with dairy, so I'm blessed because I love cheese, but I don't have a problem with dairy. But, if I'm asking myself, does this make me feel good or bad? in the sense of like, do I get inflammation? Do I have bloating? Am I gassy? Am I, all these different things? Do my joints hurt? And it makes me feel bad. Why am I choosing that? Okay.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's okay to still choose those things, but it's like knowing, am I choosing that knowing that I'm going to feel bad, or am I choosing that knowing that it doesn't bother me and I'm okay with having that? Like, what's the choice? So I'm always asking myself questions
Yes.
before I make my decisions. New Year's resolutions are coming up. I get a lot of clients that are like, I'm going to cut sugar for January. And, and then they have sugar and they're like, oh man, why did I have sugar? Well, that was a once incident, right? So don't beat yourself on it. Tomorrow's a new day. Start again, right? Like, we can start. It's a daily habit that we have to form, that we lay back down. And,
So
with faith and surrendering to God, now we have the power of the Holy Spirit to come in and be able to give us the strength to continue to lay that down on a daily basis. It's not a one and done. I've surrendered and I never have to think about it again. It is a continual daily effort of surrender until it becomes habit. And once it becomes habit, it's not that you'll be perfect, but it's a lot easier to be able to continue to walk in that, where you're not daily having to be like, Lord, I'm giving you this desire I have for sugar, to you. And again, it just becomes, now it just stops. I haven't really had sugar hardly at all. I mean, I didn't for 8 months, and I've just recently in the month of December has had sugar a couple times. I don't even really think about sugar anymore, and it was harder, but now I don't really think about sugar hardly ever. I never have cravings. So it's now like, oh, well, that sounds good, but it's not a craving and I don't have to go have it. Right.
Yeah.
But there's just this constant of surrendering, as thinking of it, the mindset of, this is not a one and done. This is a continual daily effort that I have to do that. We need to start doing some serious reflection questions. Those are signs for us to do some reflection questions. Well, why is it that I'm always arguing with this person? Or why is it that I feel like I have to defend myself? So I'm always teaching my clients to ask these questions of why and dig deeper. Like, there's a root cause. Why is it that, I want to go when I'm stressed out, I want to go and, go on a shopping spree, or like, we need to ask ourselves those types of questions. And I would say that some of those signs are repeated habits that they can see, or a dependency on something. I've in the past, anytime I'd feel like I was starting to get dependent on caffeine, I'd cut it cold turkey. I was like, nope, it's gone. I'm not going to be dependent on something. Right. And so recognizing these signs of something I do over and over again, or I feel like I need to have, those are some of the key signs that you can look at to go, I think it's time that I ask myself some deeper reflective questions and get to the root of this, so that I can start making some changes to become a better version of myself.
Ah, so good. So good. I love that. Oh my goodness. Katrina, thank you so much. For those of you that are watching, and so much of what she has shared in this short amount of time really is, I believe it's life-changing, and it's a game changer for many people, and can be in every area of your life. And so I want to be sure that we share her website. She can be found at ykatrina.life. It's also in the chat. It's also in the description. Yes, she has a book, Obedience Over Fear, and an accompanying workbook as well, for those of you that might want to study. But you might be listening and thinking, oh my goodness, I need to hire her as a coach. And so if that's you, then again, visit her at ykatrina.life. And then she has a couple of other pretty amazing things coming up. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Do you want to share? Do you want me to share about your challenge coming up?
Yeah, I can go ahead and share.
Okay,
So
sure.
we have on December 31st, I know it sounds crazy, New Year's Eve. Yes, New Year's Eve, we are kicking off a challenge called an 90-day activation challenge. So we're going to be activating these 6 pillars of health for 90 days. And we'll be able to dive deeper into what are different ways that I can activate mentally and emotionally health through food or through exercise or through activators or, whatever that might be. How can we activate that? And we go and break that down over 90 days for each one of those pillars. We'll have weekly workouts. We'll have weekly nutrition tips, whole food recipes, etc., things like that, spiritual growth. It's not just any one of these. So if you're looking to really take 2026 and have a transformational year, this is a key. And yes, we're not waiting till January 1st because nobody feels good January 1st because we all stayed up late to watch fireworks and get the countdown and all of that. Nobody wants to get up early. We kick off on December 31st and we will be running that. No, I'm not going to make you cut sugar on December 31st. Don't worry. You guys get to decide what is best for you and as you activate your health, because we all are coming from a different place, a different environment, have different biology. What is good for me may not be good for you. And so you get to choose how you're activating that.
It's so good. Yes, I love that. So we've got the link in the chat. So you can fill out that Google form, but to jump in and join her 90-day activation challenge. I love that. And I love that it's starting this year and not starting on January 1st. That's a lot of times people will say, oh, I'll do that next year. I feel like, well, why not just do it? Right? Let's get a running jump start and let's do it on December 31st.
Yep.
And then 3 months. I mean, you're talking about fulfilling a quarter of the year. Talk about these new habits and just this new mindset that you've been working on for the first 3 months out of the whole year. Transformation central. I mean, that's so exciting. So again, visit the website, but also in the chat, there's a form there. Click on that. It's also in the description for you to fill out that form and then to get to be a part of that 90-day challenge. And then also, I want you to mark your calendars. Katrina's got an obedience over fear study. For those of you that when we talked about her book, like a little alarm went off, and that begins January 28th. So again, visit her website for details. And then also you can become a part of her Facebook community, which is facebook.com/groups/Why Katrina. And is there anything that I'm forgetting, Katrina, before we sign off here?
Nothing you've forgotten. I just want to give a couple practical steps as we end this that they can start now.
Yes.
Off to go into that new year. So one is ditch the New Year's resolutions. I am all for ditching it. Go with one word, pray about what you want that one word, pick it if you want to. And then that one word, the key to that is that one word has to be able to apply to all 6 pillars. So this year in 2025, my word was transformation. So when I'm going to think of what I want to do, I'm asking myself, is this going to help transform my relationships? Is this going to help transform me spiritually? Is this going to help physically? And I can go through the whole list. And I ask myself when I'm making those daily choices, is this going to help me have transformation in this area if I choose this versus choosing this? So it just helps me make decisions better. So I say, again, pick that word, pray about what that word is. And that can be one of the things I guarantee you will have much further success than you will if you pick a New Year's resolution that most people by the end of January have already quit. Make small changes at a time. Don't go try to change everything. Pick 1 or 2 things you want to work on and do that. So example, 2 times per week at the gym versus, I'm going to go to the gym every day of the week, right? Start small. And then don't compare. This is a big one. Don't compare your journey with others because no one else has your biology. No one else lives in your environment, has the same job, has the same stressors, has the same family dynamic as you do. God created you unique. So don't compare your journey and your results of any goals that you're going after to anybody else. And then last but not least is stop labeling things good or bad. Why? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Okay. Is this moving me closer to my goal or further away from my goal?
Woo! This is so good. We might just have to have this episode on repeat.
All year.
All year.
Keep us in check.
All the slots are filled for 2020. Thank you, Katrina.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Cyndi.
Oh my goodness. So good. I love that. And all of those tips, or I think they're so good, starting small. And I think sometimes we going into something new, like the new year. Okay. And like what you said, I feel like it's all or nothing. Like, I'm going to do this for now every day for a week. And it's just like, well, just do the 2 times a week. Can you commit to that? Because then maybe after you've done the twice a week and you've done that for 3-4 months, now you can have that third day because you want to, and you see how valuable it is. You see how doable it is into your schedule. I mean, I think that's so good. So thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. And again, this is why I'm saying, please visit her website, whykatrina.life. And for those of you that are able, join her Facebook community group. It's right there in the chat as well. But it's just a joy to have you, Katrina. And I mean, I'm half kidding, but I'm probably going to do a replay of this a few more times this year because I just think it's that good. So if it's March and you're watching this, you'll know why.
I love it.
You'll know why I'm wearing my Merry Christmas sweater is because I just think it's so good and it's so needed. And so, Katrina, thank you so much. Such a gift and a joy to have you on here. And I would love for every one of you that are watching to visit her website and then also to be a part of her 90-day challenge. Like what an incredible way to not just start your year, because we're starting it this year, 2025, but also just to break those patterns and to break a lot of those mindsets that have held you bound for all of this time, all of these years. I believe there will be so many testimonies and victory that will come from that time. So again, Katrina, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right, everybody. Katrina Yniguez. All right. Bye-bye. So good. I want you to be sure, again, I'm going to say this because I really feel like there was so much meat in what she shared in this short one episode, but visiting her website, whykatrina.life, and peruse around it. You can see her book, you see just who she is. She shares a lot of who she is. You see the coaching that's there as well. Some of you might say, I really need to be coached. Or maybe you say, I need to do the 90-day, feel stirred up about the 90-day challenge, and then you still need to be coached. Well, go visit the website and bookmark that, and then just see what 2026 can be like for you. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have every area of your life just soaring? Every area you're doing well relationally, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, spiritually, all of these areas. And that's really how God intended for us to soar. And so again, thank you so much, Katrina.
In late October, I went into Walmart and they had a 70% off on all their Star Wars stuff. I bought everything. I bought 2 Millennial Falcons. I bought, 2 of everything. I bought the Ewok Village. We bought all this stuff for them to have. And then we were called back to Birmingham, Alabama, to the church there. We left Ohio and came home. And so I just thought, I don't know what possessed me other than, I love doing art projects. And so we had a garage we couldn't use because our driveway was like this. It was straight down. You couldn't get back up the hill to get out of the driveway very well. So we didn't use it except for storage. And so I went and bought, I think Andy said a ping pong table. It wasn't a ping pong table. I'm sure it looked like it to him. It was actually, I bought 2 sawhorses and plywood. And I started out making all of the different stations for them. And then I called them in the next morning and we they were amazed, and we continued and finished it. I mean, we had styrofoam for the snow for the what do you ever call the ice planet and at the Ewok village and all those things. And they spent hours with me putting that together, getting it finished. And then they spent hours, John and Andy spent hours playing and making up stories. Andy said that was his first step into storytelling.
Wow.
And it was so important for him. And I said, why was it what I did so important to you? He said, you stepped into my world. Now that preaches.
Ooh, yeah.
How many of us parents want our children to step into our world?
Woo! Come on.
And so he said, you stepped into my world and you made it magical. And how grateful he was. My John came into this world saying, no, I will not. And he was very compliant. John was not compliant at all. There were hours and hours of me disciplining him and bringing him back and saying, now will you do it? No, hours. And I just never gave up. I said, I can stay here for days. And so anyway, God broke him. He's had to break him as a grown man as well. But he was very, I don't know if you know anything about temperaments, but very choleric, knew what he wanted and knew how to get there. Now there were dead bodies laying on the street behind him, but he got there, and so he, was it fun? Sometimes no.
Sure.
But was it rewarding? I really truly believed that being a mother was my calling at that time. It only takes 18 years to raise a child. You got a lot of years after that to do a lot of things. And not that you don't do things in between. I don't mean that, but that was my main job for me. We expected obedience, and we expected it first time, every time. Slow obedience in our house was no obedience.
Woo!
And consequences were given if it was slow obedience. I'm sorry. I'm glad you finally decided to do it, but first time I call you, you come. And so we worked at that very diligently, getting them to respond to my voice, to hear my voice in a crowd and respond to that. My John is ADHD. Hearing my voice has saved his life on more than one occasion. And because he just is in his own little world and just walked right out in front of a car. But to hear my voice and to respond immediately. This is a funny story. When they were making the movie Woodlawn, Hank and I, which is a story about Hank and our lives, but they were making the movie Woodlawn, and we were doing a dinner for a lot of pastors from all over the United States had come to the set, and we were doing dinner for them, and Hank and I were hosting, and John was there, and his assistant at the time was a young man named Josh Walsh, and John had to be at Sanford University to speak at a certain time, and Josh was trying to get John to go get in the car, and he kept saying, John, you have 5 minutes, we're going to be late, you got to be gone now. And finally I looked at Josh, I said, Josh, do you need John? He said, yes, ma'am. And I went, John? And he turned around and said, yes, ma'am, you need something? Why? He'd been trained to hear my voice. And he heard it. And Josh said, could I record that and just take that with me? I said, you're welcome to. So it was important that they learn about authority and learn to respond to authority, because we believe, like Adrian Rogers said, you can't be over until you're under. And we believe that, and we taught our children that you can't not be over somebody until you've surrendered and been under, especially the Lord Jesus Christ.
Ooh.
Loved by love, because there were 3 questions that I cried out in that year. And it was, does love really exist? Is it even real?
Wow.
And does love really conquer evil?
Wow.
And at the time,
that's good questions.
I know.
Yeah, those are good questions.
And they came from the depth of my being, because All I wanted, what I perceived a husband in a marriage was, when I'm married, when I have a husband, then I'll be married. And then yes, I'll be married. Then I'll be loved.
Yes.
And
Wow.
little did I know that God is love.
Yeah.
So when I cried that out, I literally was asking, is God real? Does God exist? And does God really conquer evil?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be loved.
But I grew up in a family in South Carolina. My mom, my dad, but I lived with my grandparents. Probably half of my my childhood, I lived with my grandparents. My mom's parents, I grew up in their house initially, and then when my parents got married, my dad's mother, my grandmother's house. My grandfather wasn't there. My father's father wasn't there. As I tell in the story, Open Wounds, he was shot and killed at the hands of racism, at the hands of white supremacy in the Jim Crow era in 1953. And I tell the story because that event changed the dynamics of my family, because of the trauma that my grandmother experienced in her mid-20s, losing her husband so violently. My father was 2 years old, so he never got a chance to know his father. And that carried over into the anger and rage he carried once he learned how his father died. He carried that anger with him into the family, into the marriage with my mom. So my mom took a lot of abuse from my dad. My relationship was strained between he and I for many, many years. We're good now. We laugh and joke, and God has done a healing work. And actually the work, that healing was done through the storytelling, through me telling the story of his father, the trauma that our family experienced. And I think it helped heal our relationship, because he never knew his father, but here he is talking to his son about his father. And I knew more about his father than he did from my research for the film and the book.
Wow.
Right. So there's that dynamic. So I think it's important to tell that story, because it's this underlying unspoken trauma that the family carries, and no one ever talked about it. I never saw a picture of my grandfather until I was in my early 40s, 2015. I think I was 42 at that time. And my uncle's funeral, and someone brought a picture of my grandfather, and I was like, who's this?
Wow.
And that's how we first saw him, and I was blown away. And then my grandmother didn't talk about my grandfather until 2015. No one ever said a word about my grandfather growing up. So he was like a ghost, a myth, right? But you know, trauma wasn't what defined our family. My grandmother was tough as nails. She was an educator, single mom. She got her degrees, master's degrees, and she taught for 40 years in the school system. She raised 3 great athletes. My 2 uncles played professional football, got drafted to the NFL, and my dad was actually probably the best of all 3. And so I came up in seeing the trophies, seeing them on TV, hearing about them, and that influenced me as an athlete. So there's also that part. There's the excellence in education, excellence in sports, being excellent at whatever it is that you do, that you put your mind to do. So I came from that. I came from the trauma. I came from the highs, and I carry both with me, actually, to this day. And I don't shy away from either one.
One of the things that my mom would do is she would trade a room free of rent if they were willing to watch Melanie and I. So we had to have these live-in babysitters. And that's what I grew up in. And I remember at the age of 6, coming to the front door, and my mom introducing me to a woman and her son, and saying, Jerry, you know, this is Sally and this is Sammy, and Jerry, Sammy's going to sleep in your room. Go take him upstairs, and you know, you'll split the room and whatnot. And that's when I entered hell. Sammy was older than I was. He was a big kid, and the abuse started almost immediately. And I go into the book and the details of this, but the abuse was just so bad. And what was really difficult is that his mother was just like him. He would just say some awful things like, if you say anything, I will kill you and your sister. And at 6 years old, let me tell you what you believe. You believe in Santa Claus. You believe in the Easter Bunny. And you believe when someone says, I'm going to kill you and your sister.
Sure.
And I did. And it was because of the things that he did to me, and almost would take my life in certain aspects, choking me out until I was unconscious, and I would find myself in a room, you know, after waking up. That happened, and it also, he would have this abuse towards my sister Melanie. Now, I just thought, I got to defend her. So that went on for a period of time. I know it's a very difficult story to read, very difficult to write, and I'll tell you,
Sure.
the journey of writing that, as I wrote this book, I could never get past that. Never get past it. And I would put that book down. I was like, I can't, I would move to some other part of my life. God did some healing this October would be 2 Octobers ago, where he did some healing in my life that allowed me to be healed from that.
Wow.
And allowed me to go write this story. So my first memory of this life was, life is hard. It's difficult. There are mean people, and you got to protect yourself. And I saw the world as evil. I saw it as mean. I didn't see it as a safe place. And Cyndi, it didn't matter who was in front of me. It could be an 80-year-old elderly woman. It could be a young man. It didn't matter. Everyone was of that. And so in my young life, there was a point in time where I finally got the courage to tell my mom. A couple of years had gone by, and I didn't have the courage to tell her what he was doing to me, but I could say for what he was doing to my sister. And soon as she knew, it was it. Bam, they were out, and all of a sudden it was just like this lifting to some regard of that, but just, man, I was just really wrecked on the inside, and I got into just all kinds of nonsense, you know, drugs, alcohol, and a lot of gang stuff going around where I lived, and very dangerous. And, you know, I've lost friends to gang violence, and I've been shot at, and I've run from people shooting at me. I mean, just this crazy story is sometimes you like, is that real? Those things that happen. Well, fast forward, I'm 19, and I'm finally at a place where another just a horrible thing had happened. A really good friend of mine died on a motorcycle accident. And it was, you know, the saying, the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that was it for me. And I was like, that's kind of the last thing I need for to prove, like, what's the point?
Right.
And I don't go into detail in the book, but, you know, there was what I lightly touch on is there was a point where I did try to take my life, and I came out of that. And I went to some counseling, which was amazing, which was great. Still trying to figure things out, but there was this man years ago my mom had dated. His name was Bill, and Bill was the first man in my life that I experienced like fun, cared for me, just this neat kind of like I was important, and he represented something I was not familiar with. He was wealthy, he was in real estate, he had all these fun things, but when he learned that my situation, he called me and he said, and this gets to the point of this conference I went to, he says, Jerry, I want you to go to this conference. And like, for me, if Bill said go to a conference, I'm going to do it, because I had this relationship with him. I trusted him. I just thought it was going to be a real estate conference, and it was not a real estate conference. It wasn't until the first day I'm in this conference, and I'm like, wait a minute, when are they going to talk about real estate here? And this conference was called the Landmark Forum. Back then it was a forum. It's called the Landmark Forum. And over a 4 or 3 day weekend, I walked away completely transformed. They taught me that there's a story in our head that we all believe, and we have the power to write that story. And I used to think life happened to me, and I didn't get a choice. I sat in the passenger seat of a bus, and I was on it. I couldn't tell it. It just went. And I walked out of there realizing that, wait a minute, I'm in the driver's seat, and I can actually change. I could actually change, Cyndi, I could change the bad things that had happened to me.
Yeah.
Not bad. And I actually did that. I walked out and said, like, that's no longer going to hold me. That is no longer going to be the hostage. I'm only a hostage because I choose to stay a hostage.
Yes.
And when that freedom happened, all of a sudden I gave my permission to dream. Wait a minute. If you can do that, you can change your life. You can turn everything around. At 19, I said, I'm going to go be somebody. I'm going to go be successful. And I started speaking these things that I believed could be true. It was so dramatic, Cyndi. It was so dramatic that the people in my immediate circle, my mom, my sisters, my dad even, who I didn't have a great relationship with, it was from a distance, they all saw this and they thought, what just happened to Jere? They saw this broken kid who was probably headed to prison or death. And they were like, we're going to go check out what he just did. And they did. They all went to this separately. And they all had different type of these experiences, these growth things.
Wow.
It was powerful. And I just decided I was going to make some good decisions.
It just came to me like, even like scriptures, because whenever I'm writing music, I love putting scriptures in, because that's the word of God. The word of God is so powerful,
So true.
sharper than any two-edged sword. So I just came up with, as I was writing this, 1 John 4:4, as it reminds us, you are of God, little children. You have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world.
Yes.
Oh man, that just blew up in me.
When he sent me the song, and I heard it, and I'm like, man, I was blown away, because first of all, it was so the message, when I heard the lyrics, the message is so powerful, right? And I heard the melody, and I'm like, man, it really didn't take much, because when he sent it to me, he already had like the melody and the chords, and I'm like, well, it's already the song's already there, and it's already shaped. So I just kind of added a few elements, and I think God just brought everything together. And I wanted really to, when I thought about this song, I wanted it to fit what the message was, and I wanted it to sound great and big, and because it's talking about our Creator, right? He is greater than anything that we can do, and I'm like, well, wow, I was blown away, and thank you, Jeremy, for the opportunity to work on this song. I mean, to me, it's been a blessing.
We're living in a time right now where there is darkness, and it's definitely prevalent, but the power of God and his light and his glory is going to overcome that.
Yes.
And so when we're looking just at that one word, greater, God is greater over everything, over anyone, because he is the final authority. And when I realize, or even more so, meditate on that, knowing that, as Jesus says in John 15, if you abide in me and I in you, you will produce much fruit. That means that we are connecting to the true vine, and he's pouring into us. He's abiding in us, remaining in him and dwelling with him in his presence, and having a complete, full, wonderful relationship with him.
Yeah. How do you select and say, okay, these are the songs that are going to make it on this album?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I just pray long and hard, and just ask God for the right songs.
Yeah.
And some of them, like this Christmas, this project is kind of unique because there is a nice crossover blend of some of our favorite classics like This Christmas and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I wanted to include those because they're just a part of our Christmas playlist, you know?
Yes.
And I chose This Christmas because of the influence of Donny Hathaway. My son, Chaz, Donny Hathaway transcends generations. Okay. I grew up with Donny Hathaway pretty much in my generation, but my son loves him as well. And so it was a beautiful kind of a shoe-in, you know, to just nod our hat and pay this tribute to Donny Hathaway with singing this beautiful arrangement of This Christmas. And then I had to pull in those classics, you know, those beautiful spiritual sacred classics like Sweet Little Jesus Boy, and my favorite version by none other than the late great Mahalia Jackson. And I wanted to bring in that beautiful sacred message that song so beautifully explains, that Jesus came to his own, but his own did not receive him. But to those who did receive him, to those who believed upon his name, he gave the right to become children of God. And I wanted this to have all the things. I wanted this record to represent all the emotions that you feel during Christmas. You know, the melancholy of Christmas, the music of Christmas, the message of Christmas, even the meals of Christmas. And there's a song on the kind of a lighthearted, upbeat, hilariously funny song called The 12 Days After Christmas, which is just side-splittingly funny. And, you know, and that's what Christmas is about. Christmas is about pondering. It's about deeply thinking, pondering, thanking, you know, the attitude of gratitude, thanking God for his son, Jesus. And then it's just remembering those wonderful memories as children when we opened up that, you know, that gift or that thing that we long to have all year long, and the surprise and the wonder of Christmas. I think as we grow older, sometimes we become cynical and we lose the wonder of Christmas, and we become jaded, and we just kind of write Christmas off as another day. It's not just another day. It is the most joyous day of the year. And I wanted this record to represent the joy of Christmas from a lot of different perspectives. And that's why I called it A Joyful Christmas with Family and Friends.
For those of you women that are watching, I want to invite you to, it's called 26 to 26. And it's really just a time on my Instagram live and YouTube just to come on. We will have people like Katrina on here, but just different experts just coming and sharing for maybe a tidbit of wealth for just a few minutes every day. So you just chime in for a little bit on Instagram live. And that link is in the chat right now as well. But it's just a time for you to be able to say, you know what? I know that there are just some things maybe you're struggling with insecurity or struggling with feelings of self-worth and you just don't feel strong. Well, we're calling you to start strong. So this is for women. She Starts Strong. It's December 26th through January 26th. It'll be on the She Is Single, She Is Strong Instagram and on our She Is Single, She Is Strong YouTube. And on YouTube, what we'll do is it'll just be a time of prayer. It'll be sealing whatever was discussed on Instagram Live. But, you know, we just want to come alongside you guys. We just want to come behind you and say, you've got this, you can do this. And so first head over to whykatrina.life and see what that's all about. Sign up on the form. And then for those of you that just like to be on social media, I'm inviting you to come and we'll just be talking about some things that are going to help us have a successful year of breakthrough into 2026. And let's just let go of some of the things that have been holding us down and some of the lies that we've been believing and buying into. Like, really, there's so much that God has for you. He really does have that new thing for you. Ladies, this is your running jumpstart into a powerful 2026. Takes through January 26. We're kicking off 26 to 26, and we're calling it She Starts Strong. For 32 days, I'm going live on my She Is Single, She Is Strong Instagram with powerhouse women, including
Kimberly Dearman, Liz Doyle, Sandra Pate, Kathleen Cook, celebrity makeup artist Luzine Galajian, and my co-author Yvette Osborne, and many, many more. This is real, raw, becoming her conversations to help you start strong, get strong, and stay strong in 2026. And yes, we'll be talking health, fitness, spirituality, beauty, finances, fashion, focus, goals, and then some. Need I say more? Instagram live times will vary, so be sure to check out our daily promos and stories. And don't miss this, there will be daily prayer on our She Is Single, She Is Strong YouTube channel. And those days as well, this isn't just a series. Guys, it's a reset, a refocus, a running start into your breakthrough 2026, because if you don't take the reins of your life, who will? So join us and let us start strong together, 26 to 26. Let's go. Hey, help us get the word out about our show. Subscribe today, right now, to A New Thing Live.